with the other one. Hello, and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Works show, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. Before we go any further, if you like the content that Janice and I put out, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We are coming to you live on the newstreamingnetwork.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with not only my co-host, but special guest for today, Miss
Janice Leonard.
Janice Leonard is back in the house. And today we're going to be talking about Janice learning that she is not alone. Before we get started, we are going to ask Janice to do as she always does. Beautifully ring us in. Everybody take a deep breath in through your nose. Now we may begin. Okay, so we're going to go right into, we got some good news from the joy-filled Storytime desk of Janice. What video do you have for us this week?
Oh, well, I've got a very special spot. I don't know if you know this, but this is my dog, Bo.
Hi,
I've got two, and he's a Chihuahua. I've got two Chihuahuas with totally different personalities. And when I saw this video, I just had to share it. Go ahead, Silverio. They are the most amazing dogs in so many ways. I've got the terror dog who would bite everybody and barks at everybody and growls at everybody. Then I've got the love bug, but both of them would stand up to a moose.
Yeah, the video for people, the video, it's a moose comes up in the front yard, and the Chihuahua, of course, is behind a fence. But that Chihuahua is like, "What are you doing in my yard?"
Growling and snarling, and although my mean dog, I'll call him mean. Protective. He loves me. He's not mean to me. My protective dog, he would do that, but he'd probably stand behind me as he's doing it.
Yeah, we were saying, "You're lucky she's holding me back, moose."
That's exactly. Oh, shoot.
Janice gets wrapped up in her Chihuahua videos. They bring her much joy. So, if you have Chihuahuas too, check out the TikTok or Reels on Chihuahua life.
That's right. Oh,
all
shoot.
Right.
I didn't say where I got this one from. I can't see it.
It looks like.
Can you read that?
Dog Dad Official?
Oh, yeah, Dog Dad. Yeah, I got that from Dog Dad Official. Yes. He's got all kinds of fun videos.
Perfect. Shout out to Dog Dad.
Thank you, Dog Dad.
Moving forward to Attitude is Everything. What is our weekly affirmation this week, Miss Janice?
This week, I focus on what I can control and make peace with what I cannot. Especially right now, if you're feeling emotional about politics, if you're feeling emotional about the holidays, feeling emotions about anything, it can be so overwhelming. It can drag you down. But what I try to do, is focus on what I can control. Make peace with what I cannot. That's what I do.
It's perfect. And in the pre-show meeting that, pre-gaming, as Janice and I call it, that's exactly what you were saying. You've been going through the past couple of weeks and when you're focused on what you can control, you can literally do one thing at a time. And that's where your focus is. That's where your energy is.
Sorry.
Okay. And I know once you start to separate those things, personally would carry so much that I had no control over at all. And it would weigh heavy, and I would put energy into it, worrying and blah, 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 blah. Well, when you have no control over it at all, why carry it? It's not yours to carry. Focus on what you can control. And it's not always fun, the things that we move through, but they're worth it. All right. Perfect.
Life. Yep.
Yeah. And one thing at a time, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I feel like, go ahead.
I think one of the things I've done just as a coping mechanism my whole life is I can't control this, I can't control that. Then I would obsess over what I could control, and that would be some of my racing thoughts. So you need to do that in a healthy way, as opposed to the racing thoughts on what I think I can control. And
mm-hmm. Well, and that's the big thing, what you think you can control. You need to be very clear. There are things I think I can control, how my daughter's going to grow up and the person she's going to be. No, I can't. That's impossible. All I can control is how I show up in the world.
Yeah.
My relationship with me, I can control. Yeah. One of the most powerful positions to be in, most empowering positions to be in, is when you don't need validation from anybody on the outside.
Oh, amen.
And that's, something that I work toward every day. So, and it starts with realizing the truth of what you can control and what you can't control. So this is absolutely perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Okay. So last week, if you were watching the show, we finished up tool time for all the tools that I shared when I did my show. And I kept hearing pearls of wisdom, pearls of wisdom, pearls of wisdom. And it's a little shout out. Thank you. It's a little shout out to my mom, because when I was leaving to go away to college, my mother she looked at me and very seriously said, "I wish I had some pearls of wisdom for you, Judy, but I don't." And then, of course, followed up with something very enlightening. So that was false. She did have many pearls of wisdom. So I thought we'd start a new segment and call it Pearls of Wisdom. I'm seeing a lot of things on social media now it's very uplifting, very positive, encouraging people to focus on, again, what they can control, how they can infuse happiness into their lives, and all this kind of stuff. So along with today, I thought this was perfect. It's like nobody really talks about this, but once you start healing past traumas and your body comes out of fight or flight, because we've talked about everybody living in fight or flight mode and not even realizing it, your body will crave lots of rest and silence. Your body finally starts to feel safe in the peace and quiet, the calm. You're not lazy. Your body is just catching up on all the years it didn't have this stillness. And you deserve this. Janice and I were talking in the pre-meeting. I'm working to learn how to rest, because I may be sitting there and it looks like I'm not doing anything, but my mind is constantly working. And it's that pattern of, if I'm not moving, then I'm not doing anything. And if I'm not doing anything, then I'm not worth anything. So when you move out of that fight or flight state and you sit in that space of observation, your body requires the rest. I need peace and quiet in my house now. Whereas before, as soon as my eyes would open, the TV would go on. So I had background noise all the time. And, I know on this journey that it wasn't shared with me, that my body was going to have to learn to adjust of being out of fight or flight. My body was going to have to learn how to be calm. My body was going to have to learn how to feel safe and what it feels like to feel safe. So you're not lazy. The energetic shifts that are happening in the collective right now and in everybody's lives, you're not lazy. You're learning to rest. And that's what I have for you. What do you think, Janice?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, when I first saw this, I said, Judy's putting that up there for me. After all, it's all about me, right?
It is about you today.
I've since I stopped working and in part-time, I'm just having huge periods of just not doing anything. And I struggle so with not putting myself down for it. If first of all, I've always been a worker. Work full time, work, and then to not work. And before, when you work full time and you travel an hour each way, and when you're home, you can sit down and relax. That's okay.
You've earned it.
Yes, exactly. But this is not the. It's yeah, and I fight. I'm not. It's a fight challenge. It's a challenge for me not to beat myself up for it. And slow but sure, I think I'm starting to get work on it. Because I know because my husband is a workaholic and doesn't understand why. Maybe I'm in bed as late as I am, and so he's saying what I think in my head. or you're sitting there. His favorite phrase is, "Oh, I guess the dog Bo will stay in with you and help hold down the couch." and so he's saying all the things I think, what I'm doing. And but the other day I said to him, well, you know how you fall asleep in front of the TV at 7:00? That's when you sleep, and that's okay. I'm not going to judge you, so don't judge me if I'm sleeping in the morning. So of course, Judy brought to my attention that I'm slowly that's a step to telling myself it's okay, So it's hard.
It is when you're so used to beating yourself up. I mean, the most vicious bully I've ever come across is myself. Really. The dialogue, the internal dialogue that would run through my head is brutal, and nobody has been more brutal to me than me.
Yeah.
So really paying attention to when that inner bully kicks up. The point was made. I've come across this new woman, Brittany Noel. If anybody has seen her reels, they're rocking my world. And it's not so much she's saying new things. I've heard the things, I've said the things, but there's this energy about her that is just very calming, very matter of fact. And I was telling Janice, it's like, it's not judgmental. It's, I've been there. Let me help you shine light on what it is you're experiencing, because I've been there. And what she was saying was, it's not so much that we fear doing the thing. We fear the abuse that we will put ourselves through if we don't accomplish it in the manner in which we think we should. So we don't fear the thing, we fear the fallout within ourselves.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was mind-blowing to me. So, I've been working on this inner bully for, 12 years, whatever. But just to have it that clear and precise was like, yeah, I'm not afraid to try things. I'm afraid of what happens to me in my head if I fail. And it gives a whole new perspective to how I'm looking at moving forward and some things I want to try and go out on a limb and do. So, and I'm just hearing through that shift, we want to make it clear, intention is everything. So whereas Janice in her past, her go-to was to disconnect and numb out. If she needs some time on her phone to play her game, it's not because I want to disconnect from the world and never be a part of it again. It's, I need a little break. I need some respite. And this is what helps her mind. It's I'm hearing loud and clear, Janice. It's a form of meditation, which is interesting.
I do very simple games, but ones that are more like compulsive. I'm like ding, 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 ding. So it doesn't take a lot of thought. The ones I prefer to play. So I have to admit that's true.
Yeah. So it gives you that. It gives you permission to stop with the mind fucking and allow your to go somewhere else, which then allows stillness. And that's what I'm learning is, still doesn't mean the body is still. Stillness is stillness in the mind. And that's, when my ego mind can quiet down so that I can hear more clearly the whispers of soul. But yeah, especially now, rest is all part of the process, people. It's all part of the process. All right. Anything else?
Sometimes, I think of all the I'm going to say how stressful, but it's not that. It's you're in the fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
But how I've been in that, like since probably I was 3 years old, as my mother got sick, right straight through, and my stepmother, and dealing with that, and then college, and feeling worthless, and then work, and then having to be perfect at work, and then kids, and need to be perfect. I think it actually crossed my mind this week is I probably got a lot of rest to catch up on.
It's the truth, because when you're in fight or flight, adrenaline, it's constantly pumping. So when you move out of that, and the body can, it goes from like clenching to being able to exhale. It's like, holy moly, being like this was freaking exhausting.
Yeah. And what I had to do is I took anxiety medication for like 20 years because I just was so stressed out. When I stopped working my career job and started working part-time, being at home, I weaned myself off everything. So it's like I'm also now, whatever effects that had on me, it's just interesting.
It's all playing out.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So now we shall move forward to Pathways of Peace. My bad. Excellent. Our topic today is learning I'm not alone with our special guest, Janice Leonard. Janice, thank you for today.
It's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Janice has spent her career in the human services field. She has a bachelor's degree in communication theory and a master's degree in human service administration. Janice has spent her life working to become a whole person. She's acquired a few certifications to help her in her journey. She's Reiki 1 attuned, sound therapy 1 as well as lightwork. She also is currently working towards becoming a certified life coach. You're much closer to that now than when you wrote the bio.
Yes.
Janice has has overcome a great deal in her life, which we're going to find out about. And through hard work and the tools that she has acquired along the way, she is in a place where she is beginning to acknowledge and share her gifts. We are very excited about that. Janice hopes that she and Judy, that would be me, can help inspire and bring some of peaceful empowerment to all who take the time to be with them. Janice was born and raised in northern New Hampshire and currently shares a wonderful home, beautiful, gorgeous home in Vermont with her husband of over 35 years and her adopted granddaughter. That is Janice. All right, Miss. Yep, deep breath. Well, we just read that you were born in New Hampshire. And is that where you were raised?
Oh, yes. Big shout out to Berlin, New Hampshire, which is where I was born and went right straight through high school. The most wonderful place to grow up at that time anyways. I don't know what it's like now, but it was a wonderful community, related to a lot of the people. It's a French community. We're not too far from the Canadian border. So it's a paper mill town, and everyone, a lot of people came from all over the place, but my roots that came from Canada, France to Canada to Berlin. And I grew up in a good community.
Excellent. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I am the youngest of 4 biologically. Mm-hmm. So I got 1 sister and 2 brothers. I got Peter, Matthew, and Diana. Mm-hmm. And I also have a stepmother. So her children, Celeste, we lived in the home we grew up. I grew up, she was like, I don't know, probably my father got married to her. She was probably, if I was 6, or she's probably 11. So, okay. I grew up with her, for quite a few years. And a deceased stepbrother, Andre.
All right.
And
Excellent.
especially my stepsister, my oldest stepsister, Paulette, had 3 kids who I did grow up
Oh,
with. So they were a big part of my life. Michelle, Joelle, and Rochelle.
nice. Yeah, that's a lot of family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. What are some of your fondest childhood memories?
I would say probably going up to our camp. We had a camp, and we mean camp. We were not wealthy people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Pike Pond. So there was the Pike Pond gang, and there's like, I don't know, probably 25. I don't know. I'm terrible at those kind of things. Camps around this little pond, bloodsucker pond. And most of the parents were really good friends. So I grew up in where we'd go up every weekend and we'd just go to everyone's camp and everyone knew us and loved it. It was, if you wanted to raise your child in a community, that's one of my things. I think a sense of community is so important. And I always wondered sometimes how I turned out okay. And I think I credit it to Pike Pond. Because growing up there, I remember, my mother died when I was 4. And, so I don't know if I especially felt loved, but, I remember Mr. Boutot used to call me the princess of Pike Pond. And I had an Aunt Lee, Mimir Cody, and, they were just, and the parents all just partied. They partied together at each other's camp. And we just did, I don't know, we would never do this to our kids to this day, but we just run around and build fires and swim and do whatever we wanted. A little different than yeah. And and the Bernards were the ones closest to my age of all the families, and it was a great community. Really, I'm lucky.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's I just keep hearing family. That community, replace community with family. That was your big giant family.
What big a person, Mrs. Blair. I know I always tease the name when I'm saying it to people who aren't French. But she was my role model, really, because I didn't see this from my stepmother, certainly, and I don't remember if my mother would have been that way, but she was the most giving, loving person. And I used to watch her and watch how she was loving and caring to people all around. And I was like, I want to be like her when I grow up. Because, she was just amazing. So, yeah, I love Mrs. Shout out to Mrs. Blair.
Blah, Mrs. Blair. So you mentioned at the age of 4 you lost your mother. I'm sure that presented challenges in your life. What were some of the challenges you've had to deal with?
Oh,
I mean,
well,
that's a huge one.
Yeah, well, specifically, she probably, she died of cancer, like multiple myeloma, which is kind of rare, I guess. But this was she died in 1967, I think it was. And they didn't have any treatments. It's not treatable to this day, mind you, but they can make people live longer now. But so when she came down with it, so I'm going to guess maybe 3, because a lot of the issues I have right around probably 3 developmentally. So I'm guessing she got really sick probably when I was in around 3. And they sent her to Boston, which was, 4 hours from my house for as a guinea pig, because, she had cancer. They didn't know what to do. And of course they didn't do anything until they sent her home when she was ready to die. Well, sorry, that's kind of blunt, but she's passing. And I don't remember. The worst, the biggest challenge is I don't remember. I mean, I have one memory of sneaking under the turnwheel stile in Boston. So I think we went to see her once. And when you go to Subway, my father, who was very cheap, made me go under the little thing so that he wouldn't have to pay for me. And I remember, I think I can picture myself standing, looking up at her while she's ironing.
Okay.
And I remember her being in bed, my brother Peter worrying about her because she needed to pee and taking out a pot to put next to the bed so she could pee. That's all I have. Wow. And the way, remember my father was at Depression era, World War II, and they didn't talk about feelings. And so we didn't talk about it. And, we didn't talk about my mother. And my father got remarried not too long after that. And we pretended it's like she never existed. So my father wanted to pretend my stepmother and now, was my mother. So I was brought up that, not even remembering my mother. And I don't know if things could have been kept alive, any memories, if we had talked about it, but it's a hole. And to this day, it's hard because I'm like, did my mother really love me? Because I don't feel that. And I really wish that I had that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you remember your mother, you remember her love to you and her pearls of wisdom. You know, I remember her worried about peeing in a pot once. That's like it, you know? So
yeah.
I think not having that sense of being loved, because I don't remember it. And I imagine when she was sick, they were like, you know, stay away. Because just like, I bet you, I'm sure I didn't go to the funeral or anything, but I think that's probably how they dealt with it then.
Right.
It's just, you know, go away, get away. You know, you don't know. You're too young. You're too young. I heard that growing up. Oh, you're too young. Oh, you're too young. So I would say that was probably that's been the hardest to overcome.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. I mean, I was 10 years old when my grandfather died, and they told me at 10 I was too young to attend the funeral. So I'm sure that was the mindset for you at 4. And don't worry about her. She's not going to understand any of it. Yeah. She doesn't know what's going on.
She doesn't remember. I used to get things like that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's kids are more in tuned, especially with the energy of things that are going on, than we ever give them credit for.
Yeah.
So even though, you know, you said you've probably been in fight or flight since you were 3, and it wouldn't surprise me if you have been in fight or flight since the day you were born, just because of energetically what was going on in the family and what was going on in the world. So that's a lot. You know, at 4, you lose your mother, and you have this belief that you don't even know if she loved you. Everything else in your life that happens is a survival technique to move beyond that feeling or try to not feel it anymore.
So. What exacerbated it is my father got remarried. And then to me, it was like, yay, I've got a mother again, you know, and I just, oh, yay. And I remember the kids in my neighborhood giving me a hand chair ride. You know, two kids cross hands and someone sits on it.
Uh-huh.
I remember the kids in my neighborhood giving me a chair ride after my father was going to get married. Yay, I was going to get a mother. But she was just not at a place in her life, in this life, I don't know, where she was able to give love to me the way I needed it. And she was not happy. She was not, I don't think she was happy married to my father. And I think that she thought it would be, you know, good because her husband had passed away, and and she had to work in a shoe factory, and, you know, that, you know, I think she thought it would be a good life for her and my stepsister, who was 11 when they got married. And it wasn't at all. The parenting styles were totally different. And I think my stepmother had guilt about Celeste as my stepsister so much that there's all kinds of stuff would happen. But anyways, I just wanted her to love me, and I didn't get that. And she was, if anything, I think, I don't know what I represented to her. I represented something to her that she needed to squash or get away, or, you know, so there was that, in a little bit of physical abuse, definitely neglect and emotional abuse. And so when you have a child, I mean, you know, how do you get over this? A child who doesn't remember a mother loving them, wanting this mother to love them, and then to not get it, and to get the message that, I'll read that in a second, and get the message that you're not lovable from your stepmother, who all you wanted to do is love you.
Exactly.
They may have been, Wendy says they may have been trying to protect you from having that memory of how she was when she was very sick, though. That's true. I'm sorry for your loss of your mom, but I'm actually grateful they didn't let you see. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Wendy.
All right. I think now is probably a good place for us to take a break.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. We're going to take a little break, a commercial break, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
I was carried away, wasn't I? Sorry.
That's all right. Everything is perfect the way it is.
Oh, that's right.
We are here with our special guest, Janice Leonard, and she's talking about learning that she's not alone. And we're talking about the loss of your mother and how that's impacted your life, and how your stepmother was incapable in her wounds of loving you the way that you desired, and how that impacted the rest of your life. So when is the first time you remember feeling alone?
Oh, I have one memory, and who knows how accurate it is, because I must have been 4, of my father coming in my bedroom and telling me I can picture him standing at the doorway saying, "Your mother died,"
Mm,
and then turning around and leaving.
and that's it. Wow.
I don't know if that's how it happened.
Right.
I think my brother Peter says he was there too, but I don't know. I don't remember Peter. I remember him telling me I'm laying in bed, or I'm in my bed when he said that, and then he left, and there I was.
Wow. Wow. So at 4 years old is the first time you felt like you were alone. Wow.
Yeah.
So when is the first time you remembered that you are not alone?
This is why I'm healthier than I think I should be. I'm glad I'm healthy. I think that growing up camp, I didn't feel alone when I was up camp.
Just when you were up camp.
Yeah.
So the weekends, you never felt alone.
Yeah, there was a good sense of community, and I felt loved, and I didn't feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, in school, I was, you ask anybody when I was growing up, oh, in my yearbook covered, you're always so happy. You're always so happy. You're always so happy, which is so funny because I was so not happy. But when I went to school, I was happy because I was able to have good friendships, probably nothing really deep, because I've only had 1 or 2 that really knew what I was about.
Mm-hmm.
But, that I had people liked me, and I was able to have friends, and I was in band and drama, so I really was happy, and probably felt alone. Probably not. I probably still felt alone deep down inside, but surfacing, I felt safe and good at school.
Okay.
So,
I'm hearing, as long as you were able to put that mask on, that you were happy. You felt safe. You said, yeah. I'm hearing you felt safe behind the mask.
Yeah, I had a mask on.
Yeah. And yeah.
Well, it's better than I remember. I was brought up Catholic. I remember I went to CCD one day. I was Catholic school 1st and 2nd grade. So it must have been like 3rd or 4th grade. I went to CCD, which is catechism, or I don't know, school. And I went there, and when they were saying something, I said, oh, I know, but my mom died. And I'll never forget this. The whole class.
Silent. Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was the thing. I said, okay, I guess I don't share that with people. I'll never forget that day.
Ooh, yeah. People don't know how to respond to that.
Oh, gosh.
So that right there was a sign to you that that's as much as your family didn't talk about your mother existing. Now it was like, I can't even talk about, it's not safe for me to talk about the fact that she died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow.
I got one little story. It's just that I think that will explain how I felt. My mother died like June before I went to kindergarten. And I do remember being in kindergarten, and Sherry Cole, this girl, and I was under the table. I was just hiding under the table. You can, of course, imagine how I felt. And if I remember Sherry Cole coming to me, climbing under the table with me and talking me to get out from under the table.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have spent a lifetime searching for your mother's love. To somebody, that's what I'm hearing. You spent your lifetime being the people pleaser. Morphing whatever it was that you needed to be so that you could fit in. And
I remember days with my stepmother, I just want to talk to her, like, tell her, oh yeah, I got this at school today, or this happened. But I remember walking, she's in the kitchen sink with her back to me. And I remember walking up to her saying, "Hey mom, did you know," I'm just scared. I just wanted so bad to talk to somebody. I was afraid to yell at me because she would have this way of turning it around on me. So it's like, I have to be a certain way at a certain time. And
walking on eggshells.
I believe that right up through high school, college, that I could make anybody like me. I was very good at going into other people's worlds, which is, an empath, let's say, which has been a problem too, because then you just take on energies of people. But I was able to do that.
Yeah. There was the many masks of Janice. And it's not that each one wasn't authentic. It was just that you were morphing yourself so that you would fit in and wouldn't be rejected. Yeah.
I felt like what I was doing is I was just bringing out the part of me that could relate to them best. See, that's how I saw it.
Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. Now, remember before the break, we were talking about intention. Intention is everything. So intentions are shifting. And since I've met you, I know that you've been working very much on that love that you were seeking externally, giving it to yourself. And that's been a big part of your journey since we've met.
Oh, yeah. I met you right after I left my career job. And as a person who felt, I remember I got a good job in college and said, oh my gosh, I do have some value, because it was a job where I was making a difference. And so it's like starting college, I believed that I could make a difference in my work. So my value was all around work. And heaven forbid I should have a problem with work. But then when I stopped working a career job, I was lost. And that's when I met you. I really, I didn't have any sense of who I was, that had any worthiness. Of course, I didn't feel like I was lovable, and it all came down when I stopped working, because all the things that you shut out for all those years just was like poof.
Yep. Yeah. You weren't working them away anymore.
Yeah. And in work, you can make money and you can feel good. You can feel good about it.
And we're in a society that bases your worth on how much money you can make. Yeah. That's what it does. So when I met you, is it safe to say you were feeling alone in your world?
Oh man, totally. Yeah, you can imagine, work, my story, and then work obsesses you, and then all of a sudden you don't have the work, you don't have the job. I'm home, still raising my granddaughter who has her own challenges, and I was lost and alone totally.
Then so you have all these.
And it was COVID. It was during COVID.
Yeah, throw that on top of it.
Yeah. So I was home, not getting to go out, being there. I was in such a bad state.
Man, you got the tsunami of spiritual lessons thrown at you all at once. Yeah. All at once. And, I'm hearing very clearly the universe does whatever it has to do to get our attention. And it got your attention.
I'm sure I should have left that last job way before. Because by the time I left, I didn't realize how much stress I was under, and how much it affected me until I left it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with changing a job.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, since I've known you, your work has been finding the worth within you, not because of what you can do for others, not because you're working a job, but the fact that you are of worth because you are you.
What a concept. When you said that to me, like that was at the beginning when we were taking the wonderful you class, masterful you classes. I remember you said that to me and I was like, oh yeah, that's easy to say. I like had no, intellectually, oh yeah. But there was just like, I was so far from that.
Yep. And and Janice and I were talking about this in the pregame. There's so much of the conceptuals. We got it here in the brain, but it hasn't dropped to the heart yet. And that's what this work is doing. It's doing it for me. It's doing it for Janice. It's taking those concepts that we've heard over and over and over again and dropping them into our heart and saying, yes, I am worthy just because I'm me.
And what that ends up creating this peace concept that, that this was based on, is all of a sudden you don't have that chaos inside of you, or that you don't have the bully so much, let's say, or you don't have the bully, you don't have the judgment, you don't have the fears, you don't have when you start to work on this stuff, that really you do get much more peaceful. And if you had talked about being in peace before, I'd be like, oh yeah, peace. But that, it's peace. It's like the constant bullying or putting down or no good, or even my stepmother's words, you little piece of shit. And I remember still always by saying, you little piece of shit, you're a little piece of shit, it just constantly. And to be able to do that, it's
a work.
Wonderful.
I mean, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. And I, for one, knowing you then and knowing you now, am in all of your growth. And, Laura, my sister, made a comment the other day because I pointed something out to her, and she was like, when you're in it, sometimes it's difficult to see how far you've come. And that's where, you're not alone. You have people in your life that are bringing this to your awareness, helping you see how much you have changed, how much you have grown, how much emotional baggage you have been able to clear.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important, your message that, you're not alone. There are people out there. And not only are there people in this physical world, but, there's that whole, whatever you think, source, God, whatever you want to call it, universe. The universe is always conspiring for our highest and greatest good. What happens is we get in the way. And when we can fix, mend, heal that relationship we have with ourselves, in all those stages of our inner child, which is, it's what we're working on. You're working on integrating all that. I'm working on integrating all that. It truly does create this peacefulness within you. And there can be complete chaos going on in the outside world, and we're still at peace.
The whole "you're not alone" thing was so big for me, because I did feel alone when this started, my journey after my career started. And I actually got to the place when you asked me about doing this, where I was like, not only do I feel I'm not alone, but I feel like I want to share this, and I want to share this journey and the hope and the realization that you're not alone. You shut down, you think you're alone, but you're not. I saw a friend of mine from 30 years ago yesterday, and we ended up talking in the grocery store, which again, I don't often stop and talk because I'm still in that, but we did. And found out she was depressed and she was feeling alone, and just us talking that little bit difference. And it made a difference to me too, because I was remembering, oh yes. So we're all getting that place. And that's what I like to offer is I've been there, I'm still there, I'm working on it. And, I want to be part of that for you too. And I want to help you in that journey. And that's why why we do this.
That is beautiful, Janice. And we are out of time. So I want to thank you for choosing to be here now with us.
Yes.
And
thank you, everybody,
for saying yes to the show and saying yes to doing this with me, because I am thoroughly enjoying the ride.
Me too. Thank you, everybody. And be well. We love you.
Yes. And just our little pitch. We are a 501c3. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're a 501c3, which means your donations are tax deductible. Check out our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. Donate button on the top and on the bottom. Thank you. Yes. You can.
So yes, thank everybody for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
you are not alone.
And don't ever forget, you are awesome. Janice, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And we'll see everybody next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.